Because you're not going to find true long-term success and consistency until you build that system.
Explain why, though. Like, that's a huge part.
Yeah.
I love that. Welcome back, everyone, to Be the Trader. Today is a special day because we're in Las Vegas for a conference, and I'm here with a new friend, Evan Schunk, who is a trader and who's someone that you're going to want to listen to and understand his journey, because I'm excited to understand it even more after having just a brief conversation with him. So, Evan, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, before we get started to like what got you into trading, how long have you been trading?
Since April 2018, so maybe like 4 years and a month now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel like things are constantly changing right now?
Yeah, definitely. I can see it in my data.
Really?
Nothing's the same like it was in 2020, especially gappers. Completely changed. 2021 changed, and now 2022 changed. Yeah.
Is that your style, like playing gappers?
Yeah, I'm a short bias trader. I'm 95% of the time I'm doing shorts. If I'm longing something, I'm usually losing.
Okay,
sure.
Yeah.
Everything's a short bias. I'm doing gappers, overextended plays, first red days, etc.
And is it focus on more on small caps?
Yeah, small caps. Pretty much. Usually my limit for most is 500 million. Some I'll let it go to like $1 billion or something, but usually 500 million or less is my market cap niche.
Cool. And the reason I wanted to ask you those questions real quick, just to give the audience an idea of where you're coming from. But I really want to know, like, what got you started, though? Like, what got you started into trading?
I've just always been so fascinated with the stock market in college. Just looking at them, watching them move, and having some money in there, seeing it go up and down, felt like gambling a little bit. So that always was interesting to me. That, and I always knew that people are out there successfully trading and making money, a living off it.
Right.
And also I've always wanted to know how do they do that. I mean, you got to learn the rules of the game. And so, of course, at the time when I got into it, I didn't know anything. I was, buying earnings report. I remember I bought a bunch of solar earnings report. Very volatile after the solar companies, so they would fly up and down, and I'd get lucky sometimes. But there was I had no basis for any decision making other than gambling with it at first. And so then after college, I graduated in 2017. I had to figure out what I wanted to do, and I just knew I wanted. My only passion really was the stock market. I want to do something with the stock market. Any job in the finance realm that's even close to the stock market, I just want to be around it.
Right.
So I went to go take my Series 66. That was my first decision. I actually failed it twice. Second time, it was only by one question. But that one question could have been a big difference. If I passed it, I might have applied for jobs. But when I failed it a second time, I went up home and I saw Timothy Sykes on my TV, the Steve Harvey episode, where he's getting interviewed by Steve Harvey. And I was just like listening to him talk. He made sense on what he was talking about. I was like, you know what? All right, this is my guy. I'm gonna sign up for this chat room. I'm gonna give my all to day trading. I'm gonna try to learn the rules here, and that's where it all began.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
But you said you always knew you wanted to be in the realm of like the stock market, right? And in college, like where you graduate college, you wanted to go towards that. Do I remember that correctly?
Yes.
Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you can just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show. So What
My
were you
major was
going
anthropology.
that's what I'm about to
by the way.
ask you. What was your major?
Anthropology. It had nothing to do with it.
So why choose anthropology if you knew you kind of wanted to go that direction?
Because by the time I transferred,
Yeah.
I couldn't change my major.
Gotcha.
And so I was pretty stuck with anthropology because I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I had no idea what I wanted to do in college.
Yeah.
So I just chose the study that was most interesting to me, and I was really fascinated with anthropology. So I was just like, all right, let's just do it, whatever.
So you graduate, you go into, you start to learn, you get a course. What happens next? Like, is it easy for you? What year was that? It was like 2017 or 18?
Yeah, I didn't graduate till I was 26.
Okay.
So 2017.
Okay, and so that's when you joined and started to learn.
That's when I tried the Series 66. I almost passed it, but then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for day trading. I mean, I know people are doing it. I think I'd be good at it. I just always knew it was kind of like a game. You got to figure it out though, and you know, I have a pretty good gaming background. So I was like, I knew I could do it if I really gave it my all.
Yeah. But what I was trying to get to is how long, like, was it easy for you? Like, when did you start to learn? Like, was it like difficult? Or
it was really tough. It was really hard. I mean, I lost a good amount of money in the first 20 months. I did nothing but lose for 20 months straight. Of course, you'll have your wins every now and then, but my losses were wiping out any good win I even had. And it sucked. It was really tough in the first 20 months. That's how long it took for me to start getting consistent and profitable.
What were you gravitating to at the beginning, though? Like say in the first 5-6 months,
OTCs,
what were you trying to do first?
OTCs. I was trying, longing stocks, get into OTCs, panic dip buys, and just buying movers, buying big percent gainers, and nothing seemed to be working for me. I didn't really have any, system in place or a process. Just trying everything out, and it wasn't until watching Tim Grittanis Trading Tickers and Dux's DVDs that I finally start finding my place and what was work with my process.
What stood out to you from those DVDs you just mentioned that helped you kind of find your place?
The statistical side of it, the data side that Grittani and Dux are huge on, and they teach it. That's what stuck out to me too, because I could have I remember in Trading Tickers 1, Grittani would do the overextended gap down. It was famous chapter, right?
Yes.
And it has he shows the samples he has, and it had an 80% close below open rate. And if you know that gives you a directional edge of where that stock wants to go.
Right.
And so that makes me a lot more confident in a trade. So concentrating on that is what helped me produce my process.
So you said 20 months, right? It was hard for 20 months. When did you discover that part? When you were like, I need to be more statistical. Was that in that 20 months or after? Where was that?
Right. So I guess that was, so in 2018 I started, and I guess it was really towards the end of 2018, after 6 months of just, learning the basics, like what's level 2 and what am I looking at? It's so intimidating at first. Jesus. It really is. There's just so much information.
Level 2 was too.
Yeah. Even just a chart. I'm like, what is this? Candlesticks or whatever. And it wasn't until 2019 that I really start tracking data and kind of get an idea, even just what to track, criteria, and what to fill out on my spreadsheet.
Yep.
And that took about probably 6 months.
Yep.
7 to 8 months, and then
so near the end of the 20 months is when
end of 2018. So I had data from 2019.
Yep.
And that's when
So whenever you did find in that 20-month mark, I'm trying to put it together where 20 months you start to get consistent, right?
Yes.
Or you were consistent, pretty much. So when that happened, that was before you started collecting data? I'm trying to figure out when you started collecting data. Were you know what I'm saying?
So I was actually
Maybe I worded the question
consistent.
Wrong, sorry.
Tracking data helped. It made me more confident in my trades and the directional edge that I wanted to be in, short or long. And I started getting a good with discretionary trading, but also using my data, but it wasn't totally systematic yet. It was very discretionary, with data backing those decisions. And I started getting profitable towards the end of 2017.
Okay.
So 20 months was probably, just at the end of 2019. And I was getting consistent. I was doing discretionary trading, and I was tracking my data, and it was working out. I was making, some good money.
Yep.
Nothing crazy, but it was livable.
Yep.
And I was happy. And then so that's when I started becoming consistent, but also to tracking the data and being at the office on long nights and just looking at everything, charts over and over. And
so at that point you're trading statistic with also discretionary.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And you do that for how long before you start to change? Because I know you start to change.
Yeah, I changed more to a systemic side once I saw my brother. So I tracked a bunch of data in 2019, and I was working discretionary. But then I started. My brother, he would be good. He should maybe tell you this, but he lost his job due to COVID.
Okay.
And he was a music teacher, and he needed to. And so I finally started getting good at trading. And once I did, I told my brother that, hey, once I start figuring this out, I'll teach you it and I'll show you it and everything.
Yeah.
And that started happening. And I told him to come over, and I started showing him, teaching him. He would follow my trades, but it wasn't until I showed him my data, the system that I built, like exact entries and exits, and the timing of it and everything. And I was like, if I did this entries and exits in 2019 for this specific gapper play with this criteria, look how much I would have been up by the end of the year. And he was going through it, and he was like, oh wow, why am I following you? Why didn't I just do this? And I was like, I mean, you can. I just haven't tested it yet, but on paper it looks incredible.
Right.
And he was like, dude, yeah, I don't want to follow you anymore. I want to just do this. So I was like, do it. I think it's gonna work. I wasn't doing it yet because like my discretionary was working at the time.
Right.
I didn't feel the need to switch over.
Right.
And then as soon as I saw him make like $6,000 in one day,
yeah,
and I made like $2,000 that day or $1,000, and as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, all right, I'm doing both. Like I'm switching over, and I'm gonna keep doing discretionary, but I need to obviously do some systemic trading because I just couldn't believe how much it was working.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you sometimes fight the whole idea of like going back discretionary from because like right now you're full systematic.
I'm full
right?
systematic
so
right now.
Explain what that really means, because some people might be listening to this and they'll be like, well, does systematic mean this or this? Like, what does it mean to you?
So I back test strategies. I harvest data through multiple years, and I have criterias on gappers or first red day or overextended gap downs, and I'll make specific criterias: the market cap, the float, extension criteria. I'll compare, I'll look at their 100 SMAs, the pre-market fades, and I'll put all that together. And if the stock on the day is triggering every criteria that needs to for the specific pattern that I'm looking at, I will have exact entries and exits on the chart. And exact stops, the same exits, same entries, and I will do that every single time. And I'll look at that from the beginning of the year to the end of the year and see what my profits could be or should be. Of course, every year changes the data, but that's how I do it.
So now I want to know, like, do you fight, now that people have to understand what you're doing now systematically, do you ever fight or come in to the mirror with your old self of like discretionary and like maybe systems not working right now,
right?
And then you want to come over here.
You were only human, and your emotions get a hold of you, and always now and then I want to outsmart my system. I want to fight. It's like, no, it's gonna go higher, and I'm gonna wait for that higher entry, and like I don't get it, and it collapses, and I miss my entry, and that happens because the emotions will get better. You think you can. I think I know what's gonna happen when. So I really just don't all the time, unless you like really know how to read the tape and got a good feel on what it's doing. But it's so tough, discretionary trading. So I'm more of a systemic guy.
Whenever you say it's so tough to like know what's going to happen next, even though like so when you hear people like, sometimes we'll hear things like, oh, we know it's going to go here.
Yeah.
Like, can you explain to people from your experience in trading, like it's maybe not like that?
No, you don't really. You just have a good you can maybe have a really good thesis that it might go there, but you never really know. No, you can make really good arguments here and there, and there's better arguments than others.
Sure.
But you're never always going to be right.
Sometimes a bad argument can win still, though.
Right, and the bad argument can win.
Yeah.
That's why I put my trust in the numbers. The numbers aren't going to lie to me. I see them year in and year out, and I trust that more than anything.
So, taking you back to that time where you just said earlier, when you were trying to gauge, like, maybe I can wait to get my entry a little bit higher because I might have a better opportunity here,
right.
And then you miss it because you kind of second guess the system or wanted to be smarter than the system, as you said.
Yes.
When that happens, because I'm sure it happens, right?
Yeah,
when that happens, what happens immediately after? What is Evan doing? Like, is Evan starting to make different types of decisions now, or is Evan doing the opposite of, like, not doing anything? It's just like, I missed it. Like, what are you doing at that moment?
I'm killing myself, and I'll probably chase the entry a little bit. Because then I'm like, all right, I'll accept the loss. I'm 30 cents lower entry than what I should be, but okay, that's fine, whatever. Let's just get in it and take that loss and continue on. And just another fresh reminder of just follow the system. Stop, my perfect execution to me is following my system.
Right.
But
I love that you said that. And how you said it so relaxing and nonchalant, like it's gonna happen. Like it's part of trading. It sounds like. And what's interesting is like a lot of people are probably learning their system right now.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they don't have as much confidence as you do in your system, but maybe they're doing their system and they're making those mistakes every now and then. Like maybe I'll wait for my entry over here because I think it's gonna go further. Right. But instead, they beat themselves up and they get upset, and then they're like, I should have done it, and they just missed the trade, and they're disciplined on not taking it later, right?
Right.
But then they get upset, right? Or it's the other guy or ma'am who is thinking, you know what, I'm going to wait for the entry, and they do wait for the entry, and they take it, but they ended up being wrong and taking a loss, and they're like, they don't trust their system,
Yeah.
So talk to those people, like, any suggestions on how, like, what they can do to help them prevent going down the wrong path of just like completely destroying your system just because you make a mistake like that?
Right. So to be clear, can you?
Sure. Yeah. I made a long question, but to make it short is like whenever you do make that mistake yourself.
Yes.
Right. How do you prevent yourselves from just throwing away your system, right, and just becoming like revengeful and a FOMO and going down the wrong path?
Oh, I mean, just you got that. That just takes discipline. I mean, keep control of your emotions. Trust your data. That's easier said than done. Like people will have data and they'll probably just be sitting there looking at it and they don't fully trust it. If you got years of data back tested and you have the right criteria where a pattern's been working year in and year out, I mean, trust that. I mean, that it's showing you every year that it's working. I don't just follow that system and ignore everything else. That's why it's so tough, because not everyone can do that. Emotions get the better of you, and you gotta cut the emotions out. You really have to become almost a little robotic in a way.
Would you say you've always been that way, or would you say you kind of created yourself to be that way?
I mean, if you got good mentors that teach that, they'll instill it in you, and there's good ones that do that, and follow their advice. Don't revenge trade. Don't chase entries unless it's a reasonable chase and you make a good argument for it. Don't think better than. Don't think you know better than the market. The market will mess you up.
That's true.
So you have to have your rules in place, and you have to follow them, or you'll get beat.
Whenever you were going through this whole process from the beginning to end, was there ever a part or a point during the journey where you really felt like, man, I'm not going to be able to make it?
Yeah, that happened after probably 8 months of trading. It was just it was like a huge 2K loss. That's huge for me at the time. My account was small, and I was like, oh my gosh, another one like of me just buying a gapper. I was buying gappers, doing the gap and crap reversal. That I don't know how people do the catch gappers that reverse and go up, because the odds of that happening are low. Trust me, I've seen it enough, but the ones that do, they'll make it killing. But picking those ones is so tough. and I would try that, and that was awful for me. I lost tons trying that strategy. And there was a point where I was talking to my buddy, my friend, and I was just like, dude, I never felt like I wanted to quit before, but I'm down like 10K now, and I'm just beat. I'm so stressed out. I just can't get it together. But I just kept at it. I stopped trading and just focused on the data. Kept doing that, trying to find a pattern. And
you stopped trading for a
little
bit?
Yeah, after that, I mean, just like, for a few weeks, maybe a month.
To focus on the data?
Just to focus on the data. And I still watch the market every day, every chart, but I just took I stopped trading for a month. To just concentrate on the learning again, building the knowledge account.
Yep. I love that. And then you probably also got like some separation from the event.
Yeah, that helped. You get some separation from it. But yeah, that's what I did.
What was it? Because you said, was there like an Achilles heel that you had at some point? Because you said, I did it again. And I don't know if you just meant you're just shorting gappers.
Yeah,
or was there something that you kept doing?
My Achilles heel was probably buying gappers. Is one of them. And the other one was it got to the point where I was too afraid to get into a trade. A lot of people have the FOMO. They're so easy to jump in the trade. I was the opposite. I was at the point where I was just, I couldn't execute. And I was just so worried I was going to lose every time. So I had to get over that. So that was my Achilles. Just smaller size. Like whatever, that's what I always tell people, whatever size you think you want to do, cut that like in a half and cut it again in a half. Like that's what you should start with.
Yeah. Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because the emotions are going to get to you and you're going to lose, and you're going to lose hard in the beginning. There's no way around it. You're going to come in and be high hopes and think you're going to do great, and you're going to get wrecked. You're going to get wrecked in the beginning. That's the truth.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot of time for you to get consistent. And so when you get wrecked, let's get wrecked on, small money, and let's not hurt yourself or anything.
What about the person who's like, but I do have a system. So I'm going to go I have, money, so I'm just going to do it.
And he built a system already? And
maybe.
So he built a knowledge account first.
Maybe, maybe, or maybe they learn a system from, maybe, like, I know you don't teach, but, like, what if you did, and maybe they learned your system? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you say to those people who kind of, like, I have a system that's supposed to work?
Still do small size.
Okay.
No matter what, even if, because you're not going to find true long-term success and consistency until you build that system.
Explain why, though. Like, that's a huge part. I love that.
One, you're not going to have the confidence and the capacity to truly trust that system when when winter comes, because every system deals with big downsides every now and then. There's some volatility with every system. Eventually there will come a time when that system gets crushed. Maybe for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, and then it will come back and you'll maybe reach new highs again. But when that downside happens, how can you truly feel confident in that system when that system is getting crushed?
Yes.
You have to really trust your system. You have to build it inside out. That, and everyone analyzes data differently. So always recheck their system. There might be errors in there that they just haven't seen. I mean, how can you trust? I say trust nobody. Learn from everybody, but don't just fall. You'll never find success following. So you need to build your own system, because that will give you the confidence to withstand downtrends, withstand when things get tough, and withstand the longevity of your system.
When winter does come, because you said it comes to everyone, right? When it comes, what do you, like, do you know you're in it? And then when you know you're in it, like, what are you doing? Like, what is, Evan, like, do you have a protocol? Like, okay, I got to start doing this now.
Yeah, so adapting, you got to be quick to adapting, especially with data. The data changes. Example, the gappers in 2020, that's not coming back. Like, that was an anomaly year for gappers, and everything failed. I can't tell you how successful it was you were as a trader if you were shorting gappers in 2020. And I feel like people don't even talk about that enough. I never hear people say like how incredible gappers were in 2020. It was extraordinary. I mean, people that short gappers know.
Yeah.
But that changed in 2021 and again in 2022. And if you're not quick on keeping up with that, your system will deal with some serious volatility, because what was working in 2020 is now not working in 2021. So you have to update your data and fix your criteria. I got to the point now where I met a friend. I didn't have access to Polygon in 2020. Polygon is just a coding program to access any market data you want.
Okay.
But you got to know how to code. It's not user friendly at all. Yeah. And I finally found a friend in one of these trading communities. His name is Calvin.
Yeah.
And he is really good at coding. And we work together. We've teamed up now, and he can extract any data I ask for. And he'll get me gappers from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Anything I want. I want the 100 SMA from 2018. I want the pre-market fade from it.
Yeah.
Whatever I want. So now I have changed my criteria to where I want to see a pattern working for 5 years. Since I want to see the same pattern working since 2017, 15. I want to see my patterns withstanding every single market change time. And that will give me more confidence, because now I'm starting to see this year has been a little volatile for me, not the greatest year.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't quick to updating my patterns and noticing the change in some of my plays. So I dealt with more volatility, and it sucked.
Yeah.
So I make the change to now I want a foundational, like universal criteria that has been working every year for my patterns, or at least for 4 years.
Yeah.
And that is now my approach.
So I appreciate you sharing this, because I think it's important that everyone understands that I've talked to so many traders, and you know this, that every trader goes through this. Yeah. Every trader. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career, you will go through winners.
Yeah.
You will. And I want to ask you, like, when you go through these winners, everyone has different, like some people do, some people don't, but do you find yourself sometimes just like ever second guessing yourself during the winners? And if you do, is there anything you could say to help you, that helps you go forward? Because like, I'm sure that happens to people.
There was one time me and my brother both got really low. It was in 2021.
Yeah.
I think it was. We were getting crushed, so crushed, to the point we were like, literally like, dude, what do we do? Do we stop our system? Like, this is insane. How much volatility can we last? Like, we were getting max losses every day for 2 weeks straight. It was like crazy. And we're like, we couldn't believe it. It got to the point where it's like our accounts were getting really, not dangerously low, but like low. And we were just like, what do we do? And it was like you either size down, obviously, or you ride or die. And actually, I think my brother sized down. I chose just like, I'm trusting my dad. I'm ride or die in this. Like, it's gonna come back. Like, we're in a winner. We just keep going.
Yes.
And it worked. The pattern started working again.
Yes.
Because I had a long-term perspective that this is just, these few months suck, but, according to the data in the year term, we will regret sizing down.
Jeez, that's tough.
That was really tough. That was hard. That was probably the hardest time, was in 2021.
A lot of people, because, like you said earlier, you even said it yourself, like the go-to that we hear all the time is size down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just tough that I like it you said you were trusting your data and you kept pushing forward.
Yeah.
Because that's hard to do when you're going through it.
Absolutely.
It's easy to do.
when
things are going peachy. Yeah. And you'll be thinking in those times, hey, I'll be fine when it gets winter. Like, but when winter comes, you gotta be ready. I'm glad you have a brother who trades, that y'all trade and y'all in communication with one another. Because it's like you're having someone extra to voice and get opinions and kind of like and
dealing
be
with
in the
same
right
emotions
mindset.
as you
Yeah,
too. So
dude. Like, because that's tough, man. Because a lot of people don't have that. Like, they don't have. Maybe they have a friend. That's cool too. But like, maybe they don't have someone they can actually talk to.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, because I deal with, probably in the beginning at least in 2020, I dealt with fear a little more than my brother did. My brother, he can execute. He doesn't get emotional that much. So that helped me become more unemotional.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I can't miss this execution. He's about to hit it. All right.
Yeah.
So he was helpful in that sense. So yeah, it's good to trade with somebody because it will help with your execution, I think.
So I love that you said that he was just watching him be able to execute in a certain way.
Yeah.
Enabled you to have more confidence to do it as well.
Right.
So before
when things got scary, right?
Yeah. But to be on that same topic, before we start to wrap things up, I want to ask you this. Is there anything else that stands out from you like that incident where maybe you learned something from your brother or from another friend or from just having a conversation with someone else? Maybe it wasn't even trading related, but it helped you improve something in your trading.
Just to don't execute. Don't let that fear get to you. I mean, I never really had a problem with that. Only certain periods I'd be more fearful, but just being more robotic. Like my brother's very robotic. He won't miss that execution. If that's a system, he is in right there.
Yep.
And so that type of that cultural promoting that sort of thing is really been good in our little team that we have.
That's good. That's good. If you could go back, though, in the past, before you went all full system, before any of this, before your brother got into trading, what would you tell yourself to help you get here now?
Trust the data. And track it rigorously. Backtest the data, and that is what I would... And all your answers will lie in the numbers.
Okay,
just
cool.
Follow that and execute.
Well, I appreciate it, Evan. Look, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions possibly. So if they have questions, maybe if they want to connect with you or follow you in some way, are you like on social or anything like that?
Yeah, I got a Twitter, eSchunk8.
Okay.
That's me.
Are you on Instagram or just Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram too.
Is it the same?
But it's mostly my followings on Twitter.
On Twitter? Okay. So we'll share that on the link below. And again, Evan, hey man, it's a pleasure, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.